My matchmaker hat is on, and these are the fights I need to see after UFC 307, and I'm jumping right into it. Obviously, main event, Alex Pereira got it done against Khalil, and you're assuming Magomed Ankalaev, right? If he beats Rakic, that's got to be the next fight. Wrong. That's not what the UFC is doing. That's not what's happening. Trust me on this. Alex Pereira posted a picture of Tom Aspinall staring him down as he's like getting into the cage for a title fight. And it's because they're looking to match those two up against one another, because Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic, who are fighting for the heavyweight belt, are both planning on retiring and completely dodging Aspinall. And to kick off a new heavyweight championship run, it needs to be a massive fight. And currently, Alex Pereira is one of, if not the biggest UFC stars right now, and Aspinall not too far behind, especially as a non-champion. They're going to make this fight. Alex Pereira fought Khalil Roundtree under the weather. He was sick. He was on antibiotics. He had the flu leading up to it. And the UFC pushed Alex Pereira to stay on the card because they knew without Pereira, a damn Pennington Pena main event will be a complete flop. Pereira did them the favor, and they're going to return the favor to Alex Pereira. I'm sure that there was a discussion pre-fight, if things go smoothly, that there's going to be a massive opportunity looming. And this massive opportunity is going to be a fight for the heavyweight belt. These two are going to kick off the new title run up at heavyweight. I already see it. The writing's on the wall. There's been signs that these two were eventually going to be matched up against one another. Seeing Pereira's post, seeing Aspinall drop a comment of a handshake, I kind of feel like it's a potential verbal agreement between the two. I don't hate it. I actually love it. I want to see it. I understand Magomed Ankalaev is a pretty deserving challenger, right? He's taken on Rakic, though. He still has a legit test in front of him. And it seems as the majority of fans have just completely looked past Rakic. A few fights ago, Rakic was considered a potential title threat and was a very well-respected guy amongst the elite. Even leading into the Yuri Prochazka fight, I thought Rakic had a good chance to win, and he had good moments in the fight. He won the first round against Prochazka before getting outdogged and ended up getting KO'd. We don't know exactly what's going to happen between Rakic and Ankalaev, and I think the UFC is looking to get something set in stone for a new heavyweight championship fight with Jon Jones and Stipe going down in November. I'm kind of feeling like this is going to be a main event to kick off the year. Could it shock everybody and they end up doing it to close out the year? Maybe, but right now it's October 8th. December, I think, is a little too soon. That's 2 months for this title fight, especially the fact that Alex Pereira was tested against Khalil Roundtree. He took some damage. Now, he was right back in the gym training his sister, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going full blast and he's, in sparring, going after it. So I think that January, February, there's going to be a new heavyweight championship fight, and it's going to be this one. And I'll also tell you more reasons why. There's more signs than just the Instagram post. Cyril Gane is fighting Alexander Volkov. That fight takes place in December, after the Jon Jones fight. So regardless of who wins, they might need 4 months off. And if Jones is actually, or Stipe, going to follow through with a retirement, having a vacant heavyweight title, I mean, I guess technically they will move Aspinall up to the champion, but without winning that belt, it loses a bit of merit. Even though I think the consensus is Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight in the world, without having a true title fight for that actual lineal belt, I think it loses legitimacy. So I think they're going to want to turn it around ASAP after the Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic fight. And I'm thinking January, February, pretty money timeline for Alex Pereira to come back. Pretty money timeline for Tom Aspinall to come back too. With Magomed Ankalaev, who's taking on Rakic, we don't know. First thing, he's got to win. But let's say he wins. We don't know if he comes out unscathed. We don't know how long he's going to need off, when the turnaround's going to be. I think the UFC is looking at another option. And sure, Ankalaev will be the #1 contender. And whenever Pereira drops back down to light heavyweight, or if he even potentially vacated the belt, you'll see Ankalaev get a title fight in 2025. but I'm not so sure that he's the next fight for Alex Pereira. So I'm predicting that these two are going to clash early 2025 with the looming Jones-Stipe Miocic retirement, seeming inevitable, with Jones saying this is it. I think he's ducking Aspinall. I don't think he wants the smoke. And I know Pereira does want the smoke. He's 1,000% down. And this could be one of the biggest fights in UFC history. And I don't think they're going to miss the opportunity to make magic with this matchup just because there's a good contender in Ankalaev right there. I mean, to be fair about Magomed Ankalaev, it's impressive. He's on this, 12-fight unbeaten streak. 1 no contest, 1 draw in the mix, but 10 wins. The draw with Jan Blachowicz, good fight, competitive fight, could have went his way. Also, Blachowicz at 205 is the guy who gave Alex Pereira a lot of trouble. That was his first fight up at light heavyweight. So it's not like it's an awful draw is what I'm alluding to. But he still didn't win his opportunity for the belt in the past. And I'm not so sure that he's going to be getting priority treatment and going to be given an Alex Pereira fight when the Tom Aspinall fight is sitting right there. And I think the fan base would be way more excited about it. Say what you want. Oh, Ankalaev might beat him. Ankalaev might be his kryptonite. Yada dee, yada do. Pereira's got the belt around his waist and he's defended the damn title consistently. 3 damn title defenses in a year. Pereira's doing unheard of shit in the heavier weight classes, and I think Pereira is on the path to a Tom Aspinall super fight, and that's what I will predict is next. That's the fight that I think we need to see next, and I think that's the fight that we will see next for Alex Pereira. And Ankalaev, you'll get your shot soon enough. Just not next fight. Maybe one after. Let's jump to our co-main event winner, okay? No, excuse me, co-main event winner? Nah, I'm not jumping to co-main event winner. No. I'm not doing Roundtree like that. My bad. I thought about it, but no. Not a big enough win in the co-main event. The main event loser still, to me, one more as far as how the fans go. Khalil Roundtree, Prochazka is a dope fight. Who doesn't want to see it right now? Khalil Roundtree gave Alex Pereira a really difficult matchup. Like, the striking in the first 3 rounds for Roundtree was on par with Alex Pereira. And Alex Pereira, ran over Yuri Prochazka in their second fight. He made it look easy. Sorry to hate on Yuri, but he made it look easy. And I think Khalil Roundtree deserves respect, and I think we have to award him with a mega fight. I don't think you can push Khalil Roundtree back far. He's got to take on a guy that's right amongst the elite. Currently, Prochazka is still holding that #1 spot down. He's the former world champ, but he's lost 2 fights against Alex Pereira. A massive fight against Khalil Roundtree is a must make because it's a cool clash of styles as well. Roundtree truly now, I think, representing Muay Thai in the light heavyweight division, and Prochazka, in a sense, he's representing traditional martial arts. If you were on his Instagram and Twitter recently, he's posting he's doing karate over in Japan. I don't think that's, conducive to mass success inside of the cage, but that's what he does. He's just a different breed. He's an odd duck. I honestly think that he needs to work on his defense. We already know Prochazka has pretty great offense, but what's costing him in fights against Pereira is his lack of defensive ability. He's not good defensively. He doesn't have great reflexes, and he doesn't have very good blocking skills. He just by nature keeps the hands so low and likes to brawl that there's really I don't want to say a forgottenness about defense, but yeah, in a sense, his defense gets forgotten because he's so offense-minded. And I know they're saying, oh, the best defense is a good offense. Sometimes you need defense, bro. This is MMA. Sometimes you need defense. And against Khalil Roundtree, better get those hands up because Khalil Roundtree's got serious power. Khalil put Pereira down. Say what you want about the knockdown. Oh, he was kind of spinning out. He touched him with other big shots in the fight, too, that made Pereira back away. Khalil Roundtree is 1,000% in the mix as far as light heavyweights. And I think he's one of the scariest strikers in the light heavyweight division right now. And I also think he hit a new level with this Pereira fight. Regardless of the outcome, I think we all can say, and let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I'm sure most of you agree with me, that this version of Khalil Roundtree that we saw against Alex Pereira is the best version of him ever. And I think that he could get better from here. I don't think the improvements end for Khalil. And I think a fight against Yuri Prochazka is such a treat for the fans. I feel like we deserve it, and I feel like he deserves it. Prochazka Roundtree 2025, it's either one of the most dope fight night main events we've had in a long time, or it's a co-main event on a pay-per-view, or shit, if it's a super stacked pay-per-view with 2 title fights, it's a featured fight 5 rounds. Excuse me, featured fight 3 rounds. Actually, I'm thinking unlikely they do a featured fight 5 rounds. I don't know. 5 rounds would be cool here, but I have a feeling this is going to be a 3-rounder, and I'll give an early prediction. I favor Khalil Roundtree, especially in a 3-rounder, but overall, I think Prochazka's defensive flaws are starting to catch up to him, and guys are starting to make reads on him. And Roundtree, cerebral fighter, elite striking, I think he'll make those reads, and I think he might put Prochazka to bed. Count me in, though. We need this fight. Now, we're going to jump to our, co-main event winner now. There's less excitement on this, but can we just do it? Kayla Harrison, Juliana Pena. Harrison also won on the main card. What are we doing? Like, if we don't go this route, what's going on? Juliana Pena won the belt in a close fight against Raquel, which she lost the last 2 rounds. Say what you want about 1. That's really the, deciding round. Round 1. Depends who you're picking in round 1. Round 2 and 3 was definitely Pena. 4 and 5, definitely Pennington. But nothing about the performance sold me on her being able to deal with Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison's toughest opponent is going to be the scale. She released earlier this week, actually I think earlier yesterday, that she was pissing out blood the week before the fight and saying that her body's just not built to 135. So I don't know how many weight cuts to 135 she has, and there is a real possibility that Kayla Harrison can no longer make this weight. Granted, she never made 35. She's made 36. There's a possibility she can't even make championship weight, which that worries me. So there could be a world where this fight isn't next simply because Kayla Harrison isn't a bantamweight. And we saw Amanda Nunes kind of release a little teaser of her saying, hey, yo, Dana White, in the UFC gear. I think alluding to she wants to come back. Does she want to come back and fight Juliana Pena? Or does she want to come back and fight Kayla Harrison? I think optimally she wants to come back and fight the winner in what would be huge for women's MMA. And I do hope that that does come to fruition. But I'm definitely favoring Kayla Harrison to give Juliana Pena an L if she can keep the health there and she can make the weight without too much issue. I know she's going to have a struggle, but if she can make the weight and perform and look similar to how she did against Ketlen Vieira, I think she's en route to beating Juliana Pena as well. And definitely a fight I'm looking forward to. Certain women's fights get me really interested. And this right here is a must-watch women's fight that I think is going to have a lot of eyes on. I feel like you guys are interested in it too. I know there's a certain portion of the fan base that hates women's MMA. How are you a hater of this fight? It's going to be dope to see. And I think Kayla Harrison lives up to the hype, and I think she does grab the strap from Juliana Pena, who, arguably deserved to lose. Depends what side you're on. In the moment, I scored at Pena, but the fucking last 2 rounds where Pennington is kind of putting it on her, it's hard to, argue with the somewhat controversy talk simply because, to go out and beat a champion, they want you to really take it from them. And, she won the first 3 but got wrecked in 4 and 5. We'll see what the UFC ends up doing, but I personally believe Kayla Harrison deserves the shot, no doubt about it. And if she can make the weight, her versus Juliana Pena is for the belt. Gotta happen next. Let's keep running. Next fight, ladies. Ladies again. Raquel Pennington versus Norma Dumont. Let's go for it. We got Pennington still with the belt in the picture. I think it's because, the brass thinks that she arguably should still be the champion. Regardless, she's not far out of the title picture. 1 win can put her right back in the mix. If Amanda Nunes comes back, then obviously she'll need a couple more. But I think that Raquel Pennington versus Norma Dumont's a compelling fight. Norma has really burst on the scene recently. Like, she's on a really good win streak right now. I don't know off the top of my head how many it is. I'll pull it up. But last time out, Norma Dumont put it on Irene Aldana and gave her a striking clinic, really. And Aldana's a pretty respected boxer. If you look at Norma Dumont, so she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight wins. Hard to deny she doesn't deserve a number 1 contender fight. And as close as Raquel Pennington made it with Pena and as good as she looked in rounds 4 and 5, I actually like this fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do it as a women's UFC Apex main event, assuming we still are keeping fights at the Apex, but maybe not. Definitely a potential women's main event for 2025 on a fight night card with Pennington, the former champ who's still elite, versus Norma Dumont, who looks real close to the title. And I think that Norma Dumont is actually a bad matchup for Juliana Pena. I was thinking that Dumont can definitely strike with her, and I think she's got a good chance to stop the grappling. Against Raquel, I think it's a harder fight for Norma Dumont. Styles make the clashes, right? Styles make the fights, and I think Raquel Pennington could get to Dumont, and I'm curious to see what unfolds. I wouldn't be willing to drop a confident prediction right now, but if it's over 5 rounds, I can see Raquel taking 3 or 4 out of the 5 and getting it done on the scorecards. But you can't sleep on Norma Dumont. She's really well-rounded. She's got clean boxing. The Muay Thai base is there too. She's good on the ground. I feel like she's in the mix. And with a win over Raquel Pennington, she's right there for the title. And it'd be cool to have a new face amongst the elite getting a shot at gold. So Norma Dumont, Raquel Pennington, to me, makes a lot of sense. And I do believe that's what we see next for these two ladies. Let's keep running. We got more. Mario Bautista, the robbery of the night versus Song Yadong. MMA Guru put a bounty on Bautista's head and said he will pay whoever knocks him out in the UFC $10,000. Well, get your fucking check ready, Guru, because I'm telling you, if there's somebody around the same rank as Mario Bautista that's got a legit chance to do it to him, it's the heavy-handed Song Yadong. I love the idea of Song Yadong and Mario Bautista fighting because I do feel as though Song Yadong is going to be able to stop takedowns in the fight and potentially defend the stalling clinch pressure of Mario Bautista, which all of us with a passion hate. If you like that style, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't think there's many people that do. If you're one of the few in the comments, let your voices be heard, but be prepared to be berated by the other members of the community. I think we're going to see Song Yadong and Mario Bautista next. I had this hunch initially after the fight ended. I don't think Bautista's getting any favors from the UFC. They're not going to give him somebody too high up in the rankings. They're not going to give him a former champ. But a Song Yadong who lost in a competitive fight with Pereira, but still had a good little role. And I feel like Song Yadong is always in the talks. Like if he wins 2 more, he could still be in the conversation to eventually fight for the belt because Song Yadong is super young, man. Song Yadong's last fight, so he loses to Pereira, right? But he has wins over Gutierrez, wins over Ricky Simone before that, obviously a loss to Sandhagen. But for the most part, I mean, he's doing well. Song Yadong's talented. I like the Kung Fu Kid. I like Song Yadong's style. And he hasn't fought in a little bit. And Mario Bautista, regardless of me disagreeing with the result between him and Aldo, he didn't take a lot of damage. Yeah, Song Yadong is 26 years old. Isn't that crazy? He's been in the UFC since 2017. That's the year I graduated high school. And he's been in the UFC since then. And the dude is a year older than me. So he was, a 1-year removed high school kid working his way up in the UFC. So the potential to be elite for me is still there. And I mean, I guess Song Yadong is relatively elite. Depends what your bar of being elite is. If it's top 5, no. If it's top 10, yes. And I think Mario Bautista on the feet would struggle a lot with Yadong. And Yadong's got pretty good hips. And I think he could be the guy that lays out Mario. And I think many of us fans are interested in seeing it. And I'm also curious to see if Guru actually follows through. I think he does. I think he followed through with the 10K to Song Yadong, but that'd be a pretty dope moment for just the whole MMA YouTube community overall. So Mario Bautista, Song Yadong, I got a hunch that that's the fight we're going to see next because I don't think they're doing Bautista any favors. Next one, we are going to matchmake for Jose Aldo. We got to give Jose Aldo Dominic Cruz because now he's out of the title picture in all actuality, regardless of the somewhat controversial result. It just seems unlikely that at 38, he'll be able to build all the way back to getting a title fight. But what the UFC can do is they can give us a dream fight. They were both champions at the same time, both elite fighters. Dominic Cruz, arguably the best bantamweight of all time, according to some. Obviously, Jose Aldo, pioneer of the featherweight division and one of the GOATs at featherweight. Hard to say he's the featherweight GOAT just because like Volkanovski and Max Holloway and, it just gets tricky. His losses to the other champions, even Conor McGregor. But Jose Aldo is definitely up there as far as MMA GOAT status goes. And at bantamweight, Jose Aldo, he's clean still. And it's not like Dominic Cruz is going to be able to rock that cage presser style like Mario. I think that this fight right here is a crazy fight to put on a pay-per-view or even a fight night main event. They could bless the Brazilian fans with a fight night, and Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz is that main event, 2 former world champs. I think we got to see it. Now, I understand Dominic Cruz, I don't think he's fought since 2022, so it's been a minute, and it was a bad loss in 2022. He got high kicked by Marlon Vieira, but until he got kicked in the face, he didn't do that bad. So yeah, he's been off for over 2 years. He hasn't called it a retirement, though. So since he hasn't retired, I'm like, well, why don't we give him Aldo? Now, he himself may not be crazy about fighting Jose Aldo, especially as good as Aldo has looked, and I wouldn't necessarily blame him. But for me, I just am interested in seeing these two face off, and I think it's a better fight for Jose Aldo because when I look at the rankings in the top 15, Aldo currently at number 11, Cruz at 14. If Dominic Cruz is going to sit in the rankings, he's going to have to fight someone ranked, and let's do the Aldo Cruz fight because they've both been on the roster forever. They're both former champs. They both were kings of the WEC as well, and I just think it makes a lot of sense to match them up now. Now, I will drop a quick alternative option is maybe Henry Cejudo versus Jose Aldo. There's a possibility of that, but because of Aldo's loss now to Mario Bautista, I don't know. I just have a hunch that it's a bit less likely than it was, right after his Jonathan Martinez win, which we thought that might have been the next fight. Like him and Cejudo would have made sense. But even then, I didn't hate the Dominic Cruz fight, even after he had beaten Jonathan Martinez, because it's just a cool fight to witness. And I want to see the clash of styles, and I strongly favor Jose Aldo. But if Cruz wants to go again, I think we got to give him his respect, give him Jose Aldo, give him a legacy fight, and let's find out who takes it home. I'm down for it. Let's keep running. We're going, we got 10 of them. So we got a few more. We're up to fight number 7, okay? Roman Dolidze, Paulo Costa. I'm done giving Paulo Costa favorable fights every single time that are against guys that he doesn't deserve to fight. Paulo Costa has not beaten, like, any UFC guys in years. Like, I'm sorry to be that hater, but we got to keep it a buck, man. Paulo Costa, his last win against an active UFC fighter is something that I need to find right now. Roman Dolidze, say what you want about him. He's still fighting against relatively good competition and doing okay. Paulo Costa has not beaten anybody that's currently in the freaking UFC. Yes, I said that. Did you hear me? Luke Rockhold win in 2022. Rockhold's not in the UFC anymore. Yoel Romero is in PFL now. Uriah Hall's retired, doing boxing. Johnny Hendricks long retired. Oloa Bambagose, fucking decades ago retires, it feels like. Gareth McClellan didn't do much in MMA. Holy shit. But he's getting fights against Sean Strickland, the number 1 contender. Robert Whittaker, like the number 2 contender. These are the fights he gets because of his name. Marvin Vettori, Israel Adesanya. He's not beaten anybody in the UFC in how long? And we're still going to, what are we going to give him, Cannonier? No, he doesn't deserve that. I actually think him and Roman Dolidze is a cool fight too, because let's see if maybe Costa has something left. I do think he does. I actually think that Paulo Costa could thrive against Roman Dolidze, and I want Costa to fight somebody that I think he has an advantage over, and I just feel like that could definitely be Dolidze. Dolidze coming off the Holland win, he, beat him on the ground. Holland pops the rib. Before that, beat Anthony Smith by a dominant decision. Losses to, some of the better guys, Nasruddin Imavov and Marvin Vettori. Vettori also has the win over Costa. And Dolidze was actually really close with Vettori. Granted, it was a 3-round fight as opposed to Costa's 5 rounds with him. But I think Costa versus Dolidze is a pretty sensible next fight to make. I think we got to give Dolidze a chance to fight somebody that's like well-respected here, like Costa, because he's on a 2-fight win streak. But also, I want to see Costa fight somebody that is not a former title challenger. That's what I want. And I think Dolidze is that perfect fight. It's somewhere in between. Like, he's real good, but he's not necessarily elite and on a path to gold. And I'm curious how the two will face off. Now, if Dolidze goes out and beats Costa, then I think it's time, man. Costa's UFC career is dwindling. He probably got to get out of the UFC do the Jake Paul fight already, cash out. But I actually think Paulo Costa's got a legit chance to beat Roman Dolidze. And that's the fight I want to see next. Dolidze, Paulo Costa, let's find out who takes it. It's a fight I think that should be made. I know initially I was thinking for Paulo Costa, a fight against Cannonier, but I don't like that fight right now. I actually like the Dolidze fight a lot more. Next up, we got Joaquin Buckley versus Sean Brady. Yes, I think this is going to be the next fight. The reason being is I'm looking at the welterweight top 10 and I'm matchmaking in my mind and I'm like, okay, so realistically, Leon Edwards probably fights either Jack Della Maddalena or Ian Gary upon his return. I favor the fight against Jack Della for Leon Edwards. I don't think that Buckley is going to get a huge run up the rankings. He's currently number 9 after his win against Wonderboy. I don't think they're going to give him Kamaru Usman, who's number 2 after that. I don't feel it. I don't think so. And then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, Buckley's sitting at 9, but coming off of a nice win against Wonderboy. To be honest, I think that he could be ranked at 8. He could be ranked a bit higher. The Ian Gary fight just doesn't seem likely because I don't think Gary is going to be willing to fight backwards. Gary and Colby Covington seem to be on a collision course, but my God, I wouldn't hold my breath on it because I don't think Colby Covington wants to take on any of the new talent. I got a fight that I think Colby wants next, and you guys have heard him call him out before. And then I just think Sean Brady is a guy who's going to be willing to fight backwards because it's doubtful that he gets an Usman or Leon Edwards fight. And with Shavkat probably fighting for gold, it just seems like Joaquin Buckley, even though the win against Wonderboy gets us really hype, and I don't know, I guess Brady deserves respect after whooping Gilbert Burns. I know for Brady in some aspects, it's like, is it a step down in competition? But no, I still think it's a move in the right direction. You know, he beat a fading Gilbert Burns who was on a losing streak, and now he's taking on a Buckley who's on a nice win streak, who's got good wins. I mean, finish of now Wonderboy and, 2 fights before that, finish of Luque, even though it was, a Luque with some brain damage, the brain bleed, which I feel bad for our guy, but it's true. I think Sean Brady and Joaquin Buckley make sense. Even though I respect Buckley calling out Usman, and I think that would be a cool fight, I just think Usman, ranked at number 2, is simply going to fight somebody bigger than that. I think he fights somebody more notable than Joaquin Buckley. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. But I have a hunch that we're going to see these two booked. And then the winner of this fight will be matched up amongst one of the true elite guys in the weight class. This right here is a, true battle of like the contenders on the come up. I know Sean Brady does have the loss to Bilal, but outside of that, he's been perfect in his MMA career. And Joaquin Buckley is on a damn roll right now. And I kind of like the idea of seeing how Buckley deals with somebody who he probably isn't going to be able to take down. Sean Brady's really good at grappling, and Buckley, in his recent fights at least, has had wrestling advantages over his opponents. And he's been using that to his advantage, even though he is getting, a nice knockout of Wonderboy. There was a thread of wrestling throughout the entire fight, which I think made the knockout at least a bit more likely. So Buckley, Sean Brady is what I'm thinking is going down next up for these two. We got to keep running. We got more. What are we doing for Wonderboy? We got to do it. It's Michael Venom Page. It could be Colby Covington, but Colby, stop running from Ian Gary. Like, that's probably the fight. Colby Covington, Ian Gary, and then freaking Leon Edwards, Jack Della. That's a dope fight. I feel as though because Wonderboy was knocked out, I don't know the timeline of this fight. I don't know if it's necessarily even next for Michael Venom Page, but I do have a strong feeling that this could be the next fight for Wonderboy. And I think it's kind of now or never with Wonderboy being in his 40s. And, there's a world where Wonderboy retires after this Buckley loss. But leading up to the knockout, Wonderboy's actually winning the fight. And he was looking really good. He was striking well from range. He was landing solid counter shots. I thought that he was doing pretty good. Got taken down early for sure. Got pressured a bit. Got touched by Buckley, but was doing solid work, striking well. Still looked, reminiscent of the Wonderboy we've all known and loved over the years. So why not match up the two karate-style specialists against one another? Even though they both say, we're friends, it's going to be a boring fight. Come on. How often do you see guys with these type of styles become ranked in the UFC? Rarely. So let's do karate versus karate and let's find out who's better at it. Or at least let's find out who's better at it right now. Prime Wonder Boy probably has a better chance of beating MVP. I won't lie to you, I'm a tad bit worried about Wonder Boy's chin after taking a knockout loss to Buckley. Only his second knockout loss ever, but I don't think the chin gets better as you're in your 40s. And him, being now the 40-year-old Wonder Boy, turning into a Wonder Man, he might be getting slept here by Michael Venom Page, but I think the fans are owed this fight if Wonder Boy is to stick around. Now, it wouldn't blow my mind if they decide to somehow finagle Colby into this fight, but I don't think then Colby should be ranked number 6 in the world if he's fighting number 11 Wonder Boy. I think if Colby's ranked number 6, he has to fight somebody like an Ian Gary next. So that is why I am going to assume that Wonder Boy, ranked number 11 now after his loss, takes on the number 13 ranked Michael Venom Page. And I'm feeling like it might be next because I don't think Page is, super fast to get back in there. I don't think he's rushing to get right back. And I think him and Wonder Boy sometime in the middle of 2025 is a really cool fight. And I want to see it. I think the fans want it. I think the stylistic clash is a must-see. And now is the time. It's essentially now or never. So let's go with now. Let's keep running. We got one more. Number 10. We're doing 10 fights to make. I'm going savage mode. This is the one. Superman Spann. You guys know I'm a Ryan Spann fan. Ryan Spann versus Alonzo Menafield. Please sign me up for this. Yes, I'm in. Let's do it. UFC, book it. Let's go. Menafield's ranked number 15. Ryan Spann is right there amongst the ranked opposition. Menafield's on a losing streak. Ryan Spann coming off of a nice win over Ovin St. Preux. And actually, St. Preux, some years ago, brutally knocked out Alonzo Menafield. Now, it was a long time ago, but, it's still some merit to the win for Ryan Spann. It's a nice W to have, a quick sub of Ovin St. Preux after rocking him with a big right. I like the matchup. I think that Ryan Spann is slicker than Alonzo Menafield, but Menafield is strong as an ox, and he has weird striking and kind of, surprising power at times. He throws his shots from weird angles, but they land with devastating force, and he was able to beat Dustin Jacoby, who's a former damn Glory kickboxer, who gave Roundtree a really hard fight some time ago. I like Ryan Spann and Alonzo Menafield. Regardless of Menafield taking some L's as of recent, he's holding that number 15 spot, and I'm curious to see this fight. I know Mirzakhanov last time gave Menafield the business, but, Mirzakhanov was gassing a bit before he caught Menafield. And then fight before that, Ulberg made quick work of Menafield. So it seems like Alonzo Menafield is on his way to getting booted out of the rankings. And I like the fight. I don't know. I want to see Ryan Spann and Menafield, regardless of rankings. They don't need to be ranked for this fight to happen. I just like the stylistic matchup. And I'm curious who would take it home. I would kind of be favoring Ryan Spann's straight punches, but Menafield could outdog him. And I could see Spann gassing, breaking, and getting finished off with some ground and pound here by Menafield. So, cool fight that I want to see, especially as a Spann fan. I had to match make something for him, and I wanted to give him the respect of a ranked fight. Another opponent that did pop in my head, though, was Felipe Lins, but I don't know. Just doesn't seem as likely. Though it's possible that he ends up actually fighting against Felipe Lins, who's on like a 4-fight win streak right now, and is also a guy that's real close to that top 15. So we shall see what the UFC decides, but these are the fights that I need to see next. These are the fights that I think we need to see next. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my matchmaking for this UFC 307 card. If you don't know, there's a hurricane coming towards me. So, I'll be bringing as much fire as I can, all things considered. Don't worry, your boy's going to be all right. And the consistent content is still going to be pumping. It doesn't stop. Make sure you guys smash the likes. And if you're new, subscribe it up. Definitely W's in the comments if you got nothing to say. And also, I didn't do a matchup for Kevin Holland because I think he needs a little break. And he's going to end up fighting potentially a loser of a certain matchup. Like a Kopylov, Chris Curtis loser, maybe, if he's staying at middleweight. Or if he's going to take it serious, maybe he's got to drop back down to welterweight and try to do some bigger things there. We shall see what's in store for Kevin Holland, but not a guy I'm including in the matchmaking. Not doing it. We got 10 Savages matched up, and I think that's pretty good for this UFC 307 card. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.